Greetings, fellow Salt Ancestors, and welcome to my first video that is not about solo RPGs. Today, instead of covering a solo RPG game, I will be covering for you not one, but two My Little Pony games that are not designed for solo play. We could go around as to how exactly I came to acquire two My Little Pony games, but I think that we don't need to go there. Instead, let's focus on what you can gain from watching this video, which is if you, my dear listener, wanted to play a My Little Pony game as a role-playing game and wanted to know which one is right for you, well, I will do my best to compare and contrast both of these as we go along. Before I get started, I really want to point out that they are both very fun games and that I've had a lot of pleasure running both. As an aside, I have DM both of these. I've actually never played as a pony character. But I think that the fact that I have DM give me pretty solid insights on how the games are made, how easy they are to learn and to run. Before I go into the details of all of that, though, I'm just going to discuss swagger because I actually want to get rid of all those dice. But I do want to point out that both edition of the game, so My Little Pony Role-Playing Game by Renegade Game Studio, which was released this year, and Tales of Equestria by River Horse Studio, which I think first came out in, I'm going to say 2019. But it's been out for a while and therefore has a lot more supplements out. But both of them offer their own sets of dice. So I'm just going to show you these so to get out of the way because it's cluttering my table here. So the Renegade Game Studio provides, it's a D20 based system. So it provides a whole set of polyhedral roll dice with two sets of D20 because they are useful for a number of reasons. I'll cover it in the gameplay. They are fun dice. They have some cute little sparkle to them, very adorable, good colors, so very fun. Oh, and the highest number on each die is marked by a star, which is important because if you get a star on your skill die when you roll, it counts as a critical hit. Again, I'll explain that later. It also comes with what they call a D2, aka a coin. So those are these. The River Horse edition of the game came with actual 3 different sets of dice. So each set is actually just one set of polyhedral dice, but as you can tell, they have a different finish to them. So the Earth ponies have more of a marble finish, and the Pegasus ponies more of a see-through crystal finish, and the Unicorn have a sparkle finish to them. So this is actually 3 sets of dice that comes with the Renegade Game Studios. So these are pretty neat. These are the ones that I tend to use when I solo roleplay because I actually love that they're color-coded. It's also, as an aside, very good when you're running a game with kids to be able to say roll the red die. And it doesn't matter if your kid's playing with the Earth Pony set or the Pegasus set, the red die will always be the D4. And so, you know, instead of saying a D4, which will confuse a 5-year-old, you can say roll the red, roll the green, as the case may be. So, River Horse also offers these little crystal here, which counts as tokens of friendship. Tokens of friendship is a concept that's used in both games. As far as I know, Renegade doesn't output any, but let's face it, they're easily replaceable by just about anything in the world. However, they're cute, they exist, and I own them, so there they are. So, moving swag aside, both sets of dice are fantastic. Recommend both. They all bring me joy. Now, to the systems. Let me start by showing you the side of this, okay? So, if you take a good look at this, you can tell that the version from Renegade Game Studio is approximately 3 times as big. That is really important distinction because I think it exemplifies just how much more complex the game is. If this doesn't exemplify it for you well enough, I am now going to show you the character sheet. So, Tales of Equestria character sheet looks like this. So you can tell you have 3 main stats, body, mind, and charm. They're each assigned a D value. So for example, this little unicorn here, that's my daughter's sweets. She's a unicorn, she's a baker, by the way. She has a body of a D4, a mind of a D8, and a charm of a D6. And everything else, here we have some talents. So baking is a D8. She's gotten pretty good at this. Telekinesis, D8. And she can make magic cakes. That's a new skill that she just developed. And the quirks, she easily distracted, which is a great quirk for a role-playing game if you ever do end up playing with a 4-year-old. Speaking of 4-year-olds, this took my daughter approximately 20 minutes to make, including the coloring of the unicorn. So the character creation is very straightforward for Tales of Equestria. The My Little Pony role-playing games character sheet looks like this. And then it looks like that. So it requires 2 sides. It requires a multiple table. It requires lots of little tracking, lots of numbers in all sorts of places. Lots more going on with the My Little Pony from Renegade Games. So this is built on their Essence 20 system, which they have used for a number of other licenses, including what have they done? I know they've done Power Rangers. I think they have G.I. Joe and Transformers as well. So the advantage of this is I believe that they're generally speaking cross-compatible. So if you wanted to have one play as My Little Pony and somebody else as G.I. Joe, I believe there's ways to make that happen. Obviously, this Tales of Equestria stands on its own. So that said, creating this character here, well, actually, this is a pre-generating character. Actually, let's start with that. This is a pre-gen character. So My Little Pony role-playing game comes with 6 pre-generated character sheets. So I ran My Little Pony game on the channel. Actually, we ran on Twitch live, but this I ran with Mandy, Emma, and Joe. So we're talking a number of adult gamers who are role players enough to be streaming it on Twitch. And as we had discussed creating characters, everybody committed to like looking into it and etc. And after a little bit, one by one, they started coming in going like, yeah, but we do a pre-gen. Because that is actually how complex just the character creation was. So, for example, in Tales of Equestria, I read this entire book. Like I said, this entire book, like it's big, but like I don't think there's a spread here that's not like at least like only half a page. Like the amount of illustrations, like this book is terribly approachable. I could figure out how to create a character by leisurely cross-reading this while multitasking, no problem. Like this is actually also one of the first role-playing games I ever bought, ran, whatever as the case may be. Extremely approachable, super easy to figure out, kind of made to be a first role-playing game in a way. This. Okay, so this came much later in my role-playing career. Again, I got this year. Creating a character, which I learned to do because my original intention had been to use a session 0 as character creation for my pony players. I read the book, or the sections of the book, then I kind of read them again. Then I sat down with one of the pre-generated character and kind of went step by step to make sure I could follow. And to be clear, this system works very well. It works very well. It's got a lot more gears going, obviously, as you can tell from the sheet. And it's really made so that characters can be very customable and they can do a lot of very cool things. But it is much more complex. And if I may say so, I don't think the book does itself any favor with the way it explains it. There's a lot going on. So, like, in addition to the 4 main essence, strength, speed, smart, social, some of these numbers are generated based on the kind of pony you are, so a unicorn or a Pegasus or an earth pony. Then there's like not just skills, but also perks that you get from the kind of pony you are that affect the way that your skills work. Like this is just a lot more. There's a lot more going on with this. And so again, it's a good game. And actually, I think the video has been loaded on YouTube now. If you want to see us play it, it plays really well. It plays really fun. But if you are planning on being the one to have to run it, I know that for myself, I created a 6-page cheat sheet for my players, specifically so they wouldn't have to go through this. This book was not an easy read. And again, I say this as someone who's currently recording a video on role-playing games. Like, it's not that it's brutally complex. It's not. it is that it's kind of not explained intuitively, if I can say that. But it is great, and as you can tell, I'm skimming through it here so you can see some of the art. Both books are very beautiful. Both books feature great art from the show. It's very lovely. Both books come with a starter adventure. Now, that's not the adventure I ran for us when I did it on the stream. For this one, in part, I don't like pre-generated adventure. I like to generate my own, so that's me being me. Uh, in between the two, I would say that I think the starter adventure for the Renegade game is a little bit better than the one that comes with Tales of Equestria. The adventure for Tales of Equestria is a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say repetitive. It's not too bad because again, I played with my kids and we just kind of broke it up a bit. But it's in between the two, I'd say I prefer this one. But the pre-gen adventure that comes with this is easy to retweak so that you can use bits and pieces to create an adventure. Same with this one. I will also say that this source book comes with a little bit more by way of content. So they both feature this beautiful map of Equestria. But in addition, for example, this book goes into more detail about each location, which is nice if you want to create your own adventures. There's more here to get you started on creating adventures, especially if you're not as familiar with Equestria as someone who, like me, has daughters who are deep, deep into all My Little Pony tales. So lots more in that. Same with the friend and foe. I would say that I don't want to call it the starter bestiary, I guess. You know, the examples of potential encounters of ponies and of foes. There's more of them in the Renegade game. That said, there's not like 3 times more, as the sage would suggest. There's about twice, maybe. But again, it's more complicated. And that's something I want to show you. So this here is the page that tells you all that you need to know as a GM if you want your pony characters to fight a crocodile. That's this whole page, crocodile, okay? Now hold that thought. If we look at Tales of Equestria and we travel to crocodile, this is crocodile, right there. See that? That's it. That little corner of a page there, that's all you need to know for your ponies to fight a crocodile. So I think that illustrates the complexity a lot. So basically the way this runs, if you're running Tales of Equestria and your pony is fighting a crocodile, for example, then they would use up to probably 2 things. They would use probably their body stats because they're fighting, and they would use potentially talent. For example, if this tiny little unicorn here was fighting this crocodile, she would probably say, oh, she could use her telekinesis, for example, to grab a branch and throw it at the crocodile, and also could try to like hit it with a hoof or something. She would get to roll 2 dice, 1 for the talent she's using, 1 for the main stat she's using, and keep the highest result. In this case, it'd be a 6. Excellent. The crocodile, unfortunately, rolls a d20 and a d10. So that will probably not end well for my tiny little pony, who would get, 13. So basically, because the damage was, so the crocodile won, they would impose no less than 13 points of damage to the stamina, which would definitely render this little pony unconscious. So in this case, of course, starter pony probably should not be fighting a crocodile, but also, generally speaking, in My Little Pony, one wants to avoid combat where one can. But I would, again, make them face up a crocodile. In this book, if my pony were to fight a crocodile, they would probably be doing so with a might attack. So they would roll, again, this is a D20 system, so it's always a D20 plus stats. So in this case, it's a D2, so they will roll D20. In this case, they rolled a 3. That does not bode well. And then they would flip this coin. Say it lands on a 2, that'd be 5. We would compare it to the toughness of the crocodile, which is a 24. So it's a no hit. So no. And same time, then the crocodile would hit, it would roll its own skills. And again, we would maybe refer to the type of special attacks it might have, or some of its powers that would do this. And then the crocodile would attack. And if its attack value is stronger, so whatever it rolls is higher than the defense value of my pony, so 15 or 12, depending on if the pony is going to take the hit or try to evade it, then the crocodile would hit. So, different systems. But I mean, again, both are actually not complex once you're running them. It's just for some reason I find that this book explains it in the least straightforward way possible. And again, maybe it's me, maybe it's just I really benefit from just a little summary sheet. So there's an entire chapters on skills that explains to you how to run a challenge of skills, which is great. But like, it would have been helpful to just have like a little one-pager summary of to go like, okay, so you set the difficulty of the skill. The pony players decide if they're doing it individually or together. They choose the skill they're going to use. If it makes sense, they roll the appropriate skill dice along with d20s. And there you are. Both systems have a concept of a crit hit, crit fail. I don't think Tales of Equestria has much of an advantage other than I think tweaking the difficulty. The My Little Pony role-playing game from Renegade does have a advantage system. So basically, as I said, you always roll a d20 plus a skill die / coin. And an advantage is advantage. You roll 2 d20 plus the appropriate skill coin and then keep the higher or lower result depending if you are advantaged or disadvantaged in the fight. Again, maybe I'm going into too much detail now on the different systems. I guess my point is they both run very smoothly when you're playing them. I would say that the cognitive load to learn and run the My Little Pony role-playing game is significantly higher. Definitely, if you're thinking about running this for children, I would say Tales of Equestria, like 10 out of 10. For a children role-playing game, like introducing children to a role-playing game, Tales of Equestria is absolutely fantastic. Really approachable, really easy to run, really easy for like little players to get their heads around it. Like a 1 is always a crit fail, that's it. You roll 1 or 2 die, but you only keep the higher number. There's no math. The skills are simple to learn, they're intuitive. Again, the character sheet is really unintimidating. So definitely for children. Tales of Equestria, the way to go. Honestly, I think hardcore players could have a lot of fun with it too. But I'm just saying, like, if you're thinking small players, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Just look over here. Tales of Equestria. For players who either are not intimidated by learning rules, or where you have a GM who, like me, doesn't mind sort of boiling it down to a 6-page cheat sheet and go, here's what you actually need to know, and there's no reason to go through all of this, that's good. In addition, again, I want to emphasize that this book does have a bit more starter information. So technically, you would go further if you want to buy just one book, creating adventure from this source material, than the Tales of Equestria. My Little Pony is new on the scene, so I don't think it's had any supplements released yet. There's one coming, I think it's an adventure module, but I'm not 100% positive. But I think so. So there's that. Tales of Equestria has been around for a while. It has a lot of supplement modules. I actually own quite a few of them, which again, if I own supplement modules, I like a game, because I'm not usually a supplement person. But I own, for example, the Bestiary of Equestria, which, as you might guess from the name, is mostly bestiary, so it helps generating encounters and that sort of thing. It also gives a lot more ponies to draw from, just like sort of the ponies of Ponyville or whatever. It adds some new quirks and some new talents, so it's another very good book, full of ponies and encounters. So it's a timber wolf, isn't cute? Twittermites, sorry. Dangerous. The compendium is the location mostly. So again, this kind of pallies to lack of, moment of appreciation for the Pegasus. Anyway, This provides mostly information on the different locations around Equestria, so again, kind of helpful for creating adventures. So these two books together are more content that are in here, but again, this is like you're now up to 3 purchases. And I also own, just because I have it, I might as well feature it, the My Little Pony the movie source book official, which adds new ideas to the game, including more characters, um, more talents. I'm trying to find it here. Vehicles. So like airships, land and water vehicles. So rules for vehicle running and maintaining. Rules for factions and reputation. And my favorite, which is why I got it, is Equestria. So you can take your ponies into the sea, into like sea pony. So yeah. Anyway, so those are the games. So to go back to the point, 2 My Little Pony games. 2 very fun experiences. Again, once you're up and running, both run very smoothly, both run really well, both do a good job of emphasizing the working together, the like, yes, fighting is part of it, but both systems do a good job of giving you other ways of resolving issue and putting a lot of emphasis on other type of conflict resolutions options. So fantastic. One more difficult to learn than the other. This one better for children and adults can have fun too. This one definitely not for children, I would argue. And even for, I will call it experienced player, I would say one dedicated GM to boil it down. I don't say it's a must, but I think your players will appreciate it. Last little note, and again, this might not be fair because I didn't have the first editions of Tales of Equestria, I don't think. This is the first edition of the My Little Pony role-playing game by Renegade. I find that this book could have used just another round of editing. So I'm just going to put it out there. There's some situation that I'm going through this book, and there's typos where there shouldn't be. Some of it isn't a big deal. Like it's cosmetic, so to speak, not a big deal. But some of it will refer to like a table below, and there's no table below, or on the next page or the page before. So there's situations like this that are a bit more frustrating, especially when the system itself, like I said, isn't the most intuitive. It was a bit annoying. Again, not that it ruined the experience or anything, but I just, there were enough of them for me to mention it, and I'm not a details person. So if I'm catching typos, like, it's not a good sign. Again, though, watch the stream of us playing this. It is fun, and originally we wanted to make it a one-shot deal, but then we didn't, mostly because I could not time the adventure properly. So we basically made it halfway through within the time we had allotted ourselves for the stream. But we all had so much fun that we decided to run it again, despite the fact that scheduling for us is really not the easiest thing in the world. So very, very fun game, both of them. I'd say you can't go wrong. I mean, if you want to play a My Little Pony game, I can guarantee you that either one of this will get you to Equestria and feeling like a pony in no time. With that said, let me know if you have any questions, and I wish you a great day. Bye.